Most people try to lucid dream for years and never get it to work. Or if they do, it's random, unstable. They wake up too fast, if they remember it at all. What if I told you there's a simple shift that makes lucid dreaming not just possible, but something I can do almost every single night, if I want to? And here's the part most people don't expect. It came from a very similar technique that helped me stop having intense nightmares I'd been having for years. If you do this with intention, you can likely have a lucid dream tonight. And if you have nightmares regularly, I'm also going to show you how to stop that right now as well. My name is Len. This is the Maverick Mind, a channel for anyone exploring consciousness, the nature of reality, ancient mysteries, neuroscience, and everything we were ever taught in school but probably should have been. Today, I'm going to show you how lucid dreaming really works, what it is, how to make it happen on purpose, and the one technique that changed everything for me. Please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and check out my Patreon. It's brand new, no exclusive content just yet, but if you join now, you're not just supporting it, you're helping to co-create an entire journey. Below is a list of my current co-creators and a shout out, thank you for walking with me on this path. Now getting back into it, lucid dreaming is the art of waking up inside of a dream. You become conscious, fully conscious, while your body remains asleep. And the world around you, no matter how strange or vivid or impossible, suddenly becomes yours to explore. You can fly, step through walls, summon anything, or simply observe the world your subconscious has created. Some people use it to create, some people use it to heal, some use it to ask questions and see what answers show up. Sometimes it's quite amazing what it can do. Because when you're lucid, the dreams aren't random anymore. It's interactive. Lucid dreaming isn't about control, it's about presence. It's a space where most people sleep through their own mind. And once it becomes consistent, it doesn't just change how you dream, it changes how you live. Lucid dreaming starts as curiosity, but it always goes deeper. Once you are awake inside the dream, you realize how asleep you've been the rest of the time. You see your habits, your patterns, your thoughts moving without you. It's a mirror you can't look away from. Some use lucid dreams to rehearse performances, some revisit people they've lost, some just explore. But very few can do it consistently because they miss the part that matters most. Lucid dreaming doesn't begin in the dream, it begins in your attention. And when it finally happens, you'll want to know how to stay there. I'll show you how to extend it soon, but first, you need to know how I even got here. Because for me, this path didn't start with exploration, it started with something far darker. I've had lucid dreams most of my life, even before I knew they had a name. But they weren't something I could control. They came and went until something pushed me to figure it out. Many years ago, I served in the U.S. Army and was deployed in Somalia with the UN. We were issued a drug called mefloquine to prevent malaria. You had to take it once a week. What we weren't told is that mefloquine can also cause vivid dreams, hallucinations, and deep psychological effects. We had no idea at that time. And since then, I've learned a lot about it, and it has had dramatic effects on a lot of people in many situations with very unfortunate results. When I say these dreams were intense, they were intense. And imagine, I'm in a war zone, not a good combination. But what I did notice was a pattern that the day that I took the pill, the dreams that night were the most vivid, then they tapered off throughout the week. Then I took it again, most vivid. I remember it was a Thursday. And that pattern always happened. And even though I didn't know at the time that it had those side effects, I could clearly see the pattern. So night after night, I had intense, strange, relentless, harsh dreams that impregnated themselves on me to the point that even when I got out of the military and came home, which was not long after I had been in Somalia, those nightmares continued night after night after night after night to the point that it was really beginning to become a problem. I was afraid to sleep. I knew what was coming and I didn't want to wake up that way. It was terrifying. So one day I discussed with someone that I knew, an old friend and spiritual mentor of mine, who had also been a shaman and a Vietnam vet, someone who'd faced things most people run from. What he told me was unexpected, but deeply insightful. What he said is that when we dream, we're not just dreaming one dream at a time, we're dreaming multiple dreams at a time. And a lot of the times what we see as dream logic that don't really make a lot of sense is because your conscious mind is weaving through the different dreams and trying to make sense of it. So it doesn't make sense, right? So when you come up with a bad dream, something that you don't like, change the channel. That's huge. So long story short, before I would go to bed, I would give myself a mantra: change the channel, change the channel, change the channel. And I programmed myself that the moment I saw a dream that I wasn't happy with, that I would change the channel to another dream. It worked pretty much immediately because I really truly wanted it to work. I needed it to work. So that intention was a big part of why it worked so well and so fast. So if you have nightmares regularly, try this technique. And I definitely want to hear how it works for you, because it worked a miracle for me. So much so that even since then, occasionally I have a nightmare, but nothing like what I had endured at that time. And as you might imagine, you don't really want to have a lucid dream while you're in the middle of a nightmare. While you may want to be able to have control of your dream, that's just not a good template for any situation like that. And talk about having it become a little too real in the wrong kind of way. So, in the wake of this, I was like, well, if this works so well, what else can I do with this? And that's when I had been learning a little bit more about lucid dreaming, and I wanted to try something to help me have lucid dreams. What it is that the same mantra before you go to bed and throughout the day: when I see my hands, I wake up. When I see my hands, I wake up. You don't have to use your hands. You could use anything you want, but most of the time you're going to eventually see your hands in your dream, and it's a trigger. It doesn't work all the time, but it works most of the time. I'll be walking through a dream, I see my hands, it'll beam the trigger, I wake up, and then I'm lucid dreaming. Now, it does take some time to learn how to control things when you're in that state, because when you first start to lucid dream, it's exciting. I'm like, oh wow, I'm lucid dreaming. This is actually happening. And then you kind of lose control of it. But with more experience and some of the other techniques I'm going to talk about here briefly, you can extend it and hold on to it longer. Absolutely try that technique. I do know that some people use medicine and that can increase the vividness of your dreams. I know that other people have meditations and everything else. All those things do have some effect for sure. And I've tried all of those, but none of them have compared to this simple tactic. If I see my hands in my dream, I wake up. It's not the only trigger that works for me nowadays, but it is definitely one of the most effective and the easiest to do. So lucid dreaming became something I could do almost every night. Not always, not perfectly, but dramatically more often than it had ever been before. Once you're in a lucid dream and you're self-aware, staying in the dream becomes the next challenge. But here's what helps. If you wake up at night, don't move. You play the dream in your mind like you're stepping back into it. You might re-enter the dream directly and lucidly. In the morning, when you wake up, keep your eyes closed a little longer. That moment between sleep and waking, you can hold on to the dream door a little bit longer. If you don't slam it shut with a glance at the alarm, you can actually hold on to it in that state and have control over it. Sometimes the dream surprises you. The most recent lucid dream I've had was one of the most weirdest experiences I've had. Recently, I've lost one of my puppies. His name was Rocket, only 6 years old, and died of cancer. It was an absolutely heartbreaking experience. He was my little buddy. But in this dream, all of a sudden, he was alive, vivid, real, and he was healthy and bouncing around, full of energy like he always was. And I was like, I knew something was wrong because he was gone, but here he is. And I felt as real as you could be. And I remember deciding, okay, I'm going to look at my phone and look this up. Like, how can he be here? So I type it in to my phone, and my phone said, it's because you're dreaming. That's when I woke up and had a lucid dream. And that was surreal because my phone told me that I was dreaming. Everything became real. And I was able to have a few more moments with my puppy. Rest in peace, little buddy. Lucid dreaming isn't just about imagination. Science has confirmed it. Brain scans during lucid dreams show that prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for decision making and awareness, activates again even during REM. In one study, lucid dreamers use eye movement signals from inside their dreams, pre-agreed codes like left, right, left, and those signals showed up on lab monitors while they were still asleep. proving that they were actually awake in their dream. Lucid dreams are real, it's measurable, and in many cases, it's therapeutic. It's been used to treat PTSD, practice skills, and explore trauma safely. But you don't need science to tell you what your own experience already proves. Once you've been there, there's no going back. Once you know, you know. An interesting side effect, though, is that once you start lucid dreaming, eventually, lucid dreaming starts to bleed into waking life. As I mentioned about the hands and you see them and wake up, another help to do that when you're dreaming is to give you that mantra throughout the day. Once I see my hands, I wake up. Once I see my hands, I wake up. Then all of a sudden throughout the day, you look at your hands and you're wondering, am I dreaming? And then it starts to get into a bit of an existential moment and you realize that how much of a difference really is there? Think about it. You pause, you look at your hands and you ask yourself, is this a dream? And for a second, you're not 100% sure. Because once you've woken up inside your subconscious, you start wondering, how much of your waking life is just another dream? Lucid dreaming teaches you to be aware, not just in your sleep, but in all places that you thought were automatic. It's not just a technique, it's a reminder you're already inside something. The question is, can you wake up? So if this has been helpful, please make sure to like, subscribe, and do please consider joining us on Patreon